So most of the food that I eat has been thrown away, damaged, off date, or from a dumpster. You see, I am food insecure. Food insecurity has many faces. The senior who's trying to decide whether to buy their medicine or their food. The student who's trying to pay his tuition as it goes up every year. Families working 2 and 3 minimum wage jobs. The homeless, our veterans, and people who look just like me. Food is flexible. Housing usually comes first. Utilities are important, especially in the heat of the summer and the cold of the winter. Without gas in our car, we can't get to work. Without medicine, we might not live. Food is flexible for many people trying to make ends meet. I would like for you to think for a minute. If you've thrown food away in the last 24 hours, I would like for you to recall a time that you were hungry, really hungry. You may have been irritable, your stomach hurts, you might have been downright angry. According to Feeding America, 1 in 6 people are food insecure on any given day, while $165 billion worth of food never leaves the farm. Food waste accumulated across the supply chain equates to 40% of all food grown in America. Agricultural production uses up a lot of resources. 10% of our energy budget, 50% of our land use, and 80% of our fresh water. Yet 1 in 6 people are hungry. Food loss across the supply chain, from farm to landfill, is enough food to feed every single person in the United States. So what if we could solve food insecurity through prevention, recovery, and recycling of food waste? In 2010, my partner and I started a nonprofit called the Healthy Community Store Initiative to address food access. During one of our community interviews, we came across a woman who told us she had an easier time finding a gun than an apple in her neighborhood. This was our call to action, and we started R&G Family Grocers mobile grocery store. Now, $15 billion worth of food is lost in grocery stores each year. Produce is the highest loss rate. Our small nonprofit couldn't afford any losses, so our plan was to prevent food waste before it occurs. We take product that's going off date and produce that may not look so happy, but it's still nutritionally viable, and we make healthy meals for our seniors. We match SNAP purchases with free produce. Our customers get locally grown fresh fruits and vegetables, and we can turn over our product much quicker, eliminating loss due to perishability. We gave out over $40,000 in fresh fruits and vegetables last year, so much that we started to have trouble accessing enough quantity. So we started a farm and became our own supplier. We took a tour of some farms in order to learn how to increase our productivity, and we noticed that they were throwing squash on the ground in the middle of the rows. We were told that the squash was blemished or it wasn't the right size. They were culling and grading the product right in the field and leaving the rest to rot. They didn't donate it to the food bank because the cost of labor to harvest and to transport it just wasn't worth it. That was part of the $165 billion that never gets harvested every year. So I started going to farms and harvesting crops that were unwanted. I didn't know it at the time, but they have a name for this. It's called gleaning. Gleaning has a long history. In fact, farmers used to leave crops in the fields after harvest so the poor people in the community could go pick it for themselves. Gleaning was the first community food bank. So we started a program called Hands to Harvest to recover and distribute food that would otherwise go to waste. Much of the produce loss on a farm is due to extreme weather conditions. When this happens, usually you have 24 to 48 hours to get that crop off the field. Last year, the first frost was about to hit us, and we had a lot of green beans left in the field. I didn't have time to call volunteers, so I just started pulling the plants right out of the ground and throwing them into my trailer. When I got home, I got on Facebook, and I made an event page for a happy hour stripper party, a green bean stripper party. So I had several teachers come over, and they volunteered, and we sat on the porch, we drank some wine, and we stripped 400 pounds of green beans. We then donated those, and they were distributed across 4 elementary schools in Oklahoma. The students and the cooks were thrilled. In fact, one school is now dedicated to only serving fresh green beans to its students. So we partner with a lot of organizations. And one of those partnerships is from the University of Tulsa Global Scholars Program. We had a group of students come up with a project called Desert Foods. They took our recovered produce and they turn it into dehydrated, healthy snacks. So we share our kitchen with them, we mentor them, and we help find avenues to get this product into vulnerable communities. We collect so much waste that we actually leased a commercial kitchen. Value-added processing converts highly perishable foods into meals or for use at a later date. We also process and preserve fruits and vegetables that are deemed too ugly to sell. A couple of months ago, we received 2,400 pounds of oranges because the distributor rejected them because they were ugly. They were ugly, but they were the sweetest oranges I've tasted in a long, long time. So as I learned more about food waste, I started seeing food waste everywhere. At the grocery store, as the employees were culling it directly into the trash. At restaurants, where plates half full of food were returned to the kitchen. And in school cafeterias. Recycling food waste keeps it out of the landfill. It can be used to feed livestock. It can also be used to feed the soil. So we started picking up waste from grocery stores and restaurants, from food distributors, college campuses, and school elementaries. We partnered with Union Public Schools and created a student compost crew. The students volunteer at lunchtime and help segregate the waste. They learn how to reduce their own waste. We pick up that produce every day and take it back to our farm to compost. Once it's done, we return it back to the school to feed the soil in their school gardens. So 1.3% of GDP in the United States is used to grow, process, transport, and dispose of uneaten food. While 1 in 6 people are hungry. We must do better. We can do better. You have the power to help reduce food waste and to increase recovery and to get food to people that need it. Volunteering and financially supporting organizations that provide food recovery services helps build their capacity to get even more food. You can tell your grocer that you don't have expectations of perfect produce. Suggest that they start a discount bin for ugly fruits and vegetables. Contact your school board and have them reassess school lunch schedules. Most students have 15 to 20 minutes to eat. That's to get through the line and to eat. If you're last in line, you might get 10 minutes. Many of those students are food insecure. There's not enough time for them to eat. When it's time's up, their food goes in the trash if they're not finished. So, what if we could save 15% of food waste? Just 15%. We could feed 25 million people. We could essentially cut food insecurity in half by diverting that food to people who need it most. Solving food insecurity can be accomplished through prevention, recovery, and recycling of food waste, but it's going to take each and every one of us to make systematic change. When everyone has the opportunity to access good food, it will provide a lasting effect on the health of our communities. Students will be able to learn better. We can improve health outcomes. We can increase economic productivity. We all win. So I leave you with this. Think before you throw out food. Thank you.